What's up, guys? Welcome into Good Morning Lambeau. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Email us, PackersTotalAccess@gmail.com. You can text us 865-658-5824. Join alongside Tim in Green Bay, here to talk some Green Bay Packers, talk some East-West Shrine Bowl, talk some Senior Bowl. It's an exciting time to be a football fan, man. The season never ends, and it's really cool to continue to dive into these prospects and try to see, all right, who grabs our attention, who are the Packers interested in, and really, Tim, when it comes down to who's going to be the next great Green Bay Packer, man.
That's what it's all about, man. Like I said, it's that wonderful time of the year. You know, there is no off season if you're always looking at the future, right? And this is an awesome week right now. You know, we got the East-West Shrine game jumping off tonight, and then we got the Senior Bowl on Saturday. The rumor mills are heating up.
Yes, sir.
I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Guys, we're going to do a little mini dry run of the watch party tonight. So when the Shrine Bowl comes on, we're going to be going live our normal time, 7 p.m. Central, which is when that kicks off this evening. So we're going to be bringing you live updates and just talking Packers the whole time, right, and talking prospects. So we'll probably go the normal hour 20 this evening. And then on Saturday, get ready. We're going to try to stay live for the entirety of the Senior Bowl. There'll be a lot more dead air involved with that, obviously, but it's just going to be hang out. We'll be stepping away from time to time, so the stream will stay up. You guys can chat, and it'll be a lot of fun. If you guys were a part of our draft coverage this last April, it'll be similar to that. We just may not have – the goal is to have someone on the screen at all times during the game, but there may be a time or two where you're going to see an empty seat spinning, and some of you guys know what that means. But anyway, Tim, man – How was last night, Bob? You have a good night there. Obviously, you and the wife said, "Man, I got to get away from these knuckleheads for a minute and actually spend time with a normal human being that has a brain." Right?
Yeah, we made some dinner together, hung out. You know, little quality time. You know, gotta step away and take a break once in a while. Of course, I kept checking my phone. You know, I snuck in a couple of times. Caught some great draft expertise from our resident draft expert, Mr. Jake Shavink. You know, who's down there in Mobile. So, no, that was cool. I thought you guys did a great job last night. Got to see a little bit of my conversation of, Jaden Higgins. I see you guys talked about my boy. So it was cool. No, we had a good night, man. It was awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, we certainly missed you last night, man. I was expecting just to do a mock draft, and there was so much news kind of breaking around the Packers and who they're interested in. I mean, we had a flurry of people that they met with, so that's kind of what we spent the night doing. And then, of course, we had to do a mock draft at the end. That lasted way longer than it probably should, but I got to be honest with you, man. When we do a mock draft, the longer the draft lasts, the numbers just keep going up. People seem to love them, and I know there's some that hate them, and I understand that.
Cool. Fire up the simulator. Let's do another one.
Yeah, exactly. Not at the moment. If we have time, we may do one on the backside of this show. But I know we got people in here already commenting. Donovan Schilling says, "Hey, Packers fam, you guys see the HBCU running back Raekwon Smith? I'm rooting for him. Born and bred Packers fan." Yeah, we've got him on our board. We don't have him graded yet. So my goal is, I don't know if you've seen that or not, Tim, but it showed him in a bunch of Packers gear and stuff on Twitter as a kid. I'm excited to see if he can maybe turn heads here at the draft. Like I said, we've got him in the database, but we don't have a grade for him yet. Again, that's Raekwon Smith, running back out of
Virginia State.
We're showing Virginia State. Does that sound right to you, Donovan? Donovan Schilling. I just want to make sure we're not talking about the same, the two different people. That's happened a couple of times on the board already this year. It happens every year. So we'll see about that.
Norfolk State as well. So maybe he transferred.
See, that's probably I don't know, to be honest with you. We'll try to run that information down, seeing that he was a Packer fan. That's kind of unique.
Yep.
We'll make sure we get his grade in on the board. I've got, as I was doing research this morning, I uncovered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players we need to add to the board. And what's probably going to happen, guys, with all of these really, really late round prospects, most of them are in the anywhere from 3 to 500. Sure. That the Packers are meeting with. These are candidates for undrafted free agents, right? And I understand some people say you're wasting your time even covering that. I mean, I respectfully disagree when you talk about people like, if I remember correctly, Sam Shields, Tremont Williams, people like that really contributed to the Packers' success. I think it's important to hit on those too. It really is. And who knows, man, one of those guys might might climb up into the 7th round, right? And typically what happens with those players, once you get past the 6th, 7th round, or in the 6th and 7th round, Tim, they're actually hoping they don't get drafted, right?
Yeah.
Because they can sign wherever they want, put themselves in a better position to maybe compete for a job as opposed to drafting them. And then, obviously on the Packers side, you want to land as many of these players as possible. There's a good chance a good chunk of them won't even make your 53 or even your practice squad, but you want to get as many of those bodies into camp, obviously. So this time of year, I always tell the story that Andrew Brandt told about. I can't remember which player it was. He said he was going to remain nameless. He said we had this young guy. He said when Andrew Brandt worked for the Packers, that as soon as the draft's over, they immediately get on the phone. They actually get on the phone during the draft, going, "Hey, if you're not drafted, we want to sign you." Right. So these players start getting these phone calls saying, "Hey, we're interested in signing you." And Andrew Brandt said that he called this player and he said, "Hey, just to let you know, if you don't get drafted, we're probably going to sign you to an undrafted free agent contract. Would you be interested?" And he said, "Yeah." He said, "All right, we'll call you after the draft." He wasn't drafted. He called him and said, "Okay, here's the deal." He said, we want to sign you." He said, $1,000, and can you be here by Wednesday or whatever it was? And Andrew Brandt said he got quiet. He said, "Hold on just a second." And he put the phone down, and the prospect came back and said, I can get you 500 on Wednesday. Can I get you the other 500 next week?" And Andrew Brandt was like, man, it kind of broke my heart. Like, no, we're going to give you $1,000 to come play. Like, said the kid was like ecstatic. So I love that story. We forget, man. We see all these athletes, Tim, and they're making millions of dollars. And it's like, oh man, they got everything figured out. We forget that second half, really that bottom third of the draft class, man, a lot of these guys ain't got a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of. And they're like scraping, many of them come from really, really rough cities, neighborhoods, right, communities, and they're trying to get their family out of there. And that story, man, when he told it, I ain't gonna lie, man, I kind of teared up a little bit. I was like, man, that's a player that's willing to pay $1,000 to have a shot to probably not even make the roster. You know what I mean? It says a lot about that guy. So.
Yeah, exactly. And those are the guys that you always, they got a little bit of extra fire, right? The guys that aren't necessarily heavily recruited, or the guys that are kind of been overlooked, or like you said, they got to scrape just to get by, to get to these workouts, or to get to the next level. And it makes for interesting professionals if they do make it. That's why I like the undrafted guys. They get to pick where they can sign and stuff, but you get a guy that's coming into your locker room that's, feels like he's got a whole hell of a lot to prove. And they usually really work hard, and they make your team better, honestly, because, your draft picks and your guys that you did heavily recruit and scout, those are the dudes they're going up against in these workouts and in practice. So it kind of, you pick each other up, basically.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's see here. Number one Packer fan says, in previous years, I have hated mock drafts, but thanks to this show, I roll. I'm doing one of my own this year. LOL, man. Hey, listen, get into it, press into it, man. And I don't look at it. Everyone can treat mock drafts however they want, right? I don't look at it like, let me show people how smart I am. I actually kind of go the opposite route and go, what scenario am I not seeing here that the Packers may take this player at this pick that shuffles the board completely in a different direction? And if you really try to see it from all different angles, then by the time the draft gets here, you've walked through every process. You'll have kind of you'll have an idea in the back of your mind, just like the front office does, and that's why they do mock draft. People laugh at mock drafts. Oh, it's so unrealistic. Teams are doing mock drafts right now. They're walking through every scenario, and here's the most likely scenario. And I'm sure they're using AI now and computer, all the technology we have our hands on to go, okay, here's the most likely scenario for a mock. All right, that means if these players go that early, we're going to be thin at this position later. And let me just kind of give you an example of what I'm talking about. Let's say when you pick at number 23, you've got 5 players that are in your top tier of talent. I mean, they're hands down the best prospects on the board at the time you're picking. Let's say 2 of them are corner and 3 of them are D tackle, right? And let's say the D tackle are slightly higher than the corners, right? So the D tackles have just a slightly higher grade, but they're still within that same tier, right? And you look up and go, okay, we have a better shot of landing one of these 3 D tackles falling to our next pick than just 2 corners falling to the next pick that we have, right? So they'll probably take the slightly less player, and they're still taking best player available because they're in that current tier. And then they'll roll the dice on getting one of those defensive tackles later, or vice versa, right? And basically the way that'll work is once you get down to the last 1 or 2 prospects, if you took the corners from that smaller pool, right, and then you get down to 1 or 2 prospects, that's where you're looking to trade back up and make sure you get somebody in that tier. Or in other cases, Tim, you may be picking and you got 6 guys in the same tier and you go, we need to trade back here because one of these dudes are going to be available where we trade back. If you trade back 5 picks, you're guaranteed to get one of those 6. You'll probably have multiple to choose from. Those are the things that happen when you do mock drafts consistently. You start to see, all right, who's falling. And the thing I'm uncovering is if you don't go corner 2nd or 3rd round, you kind of find yourself in no man's land after that. And last year, you remember that we said if you don't take corner in the 1st round, Tim, you're going to find yourself in no man's land. And what happened? It's exactly
we ended up taking a corner 7th round.
Exactly. So that's where the mock drafts go. Does all that make sense to you? There?
It does. And I guarantee you these teams have done more mocks than we have already at this point, for sure.
There's no doubt about that. Blake B in the chat said, I always tell myself I'm going to wait till the combine to entertain anything mock related, but these dudes got me hooked already with 3 months till draft day. Now, here's what's cool, Blake. You're doing the mocks. You're getting all the information down right now. You're getting really, really familiar with where the prospects are projected to go, no matter what site. And I recommend use different sites. Use PFF is the best, in my opinion, in terms of just maneuverability. It's perfect, right? You can see the grades. But also go to the Consensus Big Board, do their mock draft. The Draft Network, I think they've got one. Do multiple. That way you get a bunch of different angles at it. But you're gathering all that information and doing mock drafts. And then what's going to happen here as you get into really through February, you're going to get to the point where it's okay. In February, you're going to have kind of the combine hit, right, in like late February, and then you hit pause on the draft stuff, jump into free agency. The free agents will start happening. You know, you'll see cap casualties occur. You'll see restructures of deals somewhere around February 20th through the 25th. We'll shift gears into that, get ready for free agency. And then as soon as free agency wraps up, now you've got your final needs list for the Packers. And then you jump right back into the draft. And now it's time to get on a flight and head to Green Bay. You know, that's going to be a blast. So that's cool that so many people were getting into it, though. Blake B also said Nick Collins was from HBCU. So, yeah, Bethune-Cookman, if I remember correctly, I got to see his first game in person, and I will never forget it, man. Sitting at Lambeau, I remember where I was sitting right across from the players' tunnel, opposite side on the Packers side of the field. And it was like the 2nd or 3rd play of the game. They were on defense. And I looked at, you know, at the time, my girlfriend, who's my wife now, and I said, Nick Collins, that rookie from Bethune-Cookman, like, he's the fastest player on the field. You could tell he was just the fastest player, processing and everything. You talk about a guy that really popped, man. And that's what we seen with Edgerrin Cooper this year. Yeah. It was just like, there was no doubt. There was never. It
doesn't happen often, but when it does, man, it's so obvious. The guys just jump off the screen, or they just you see it. It's just so obvious when it does happen.
Yeah. And the only hesitation that was put in our mind was by the coaches, kind of saying, hey, he's still making mistakes. He's still, you know what I mean? And, man, never once did I see something from him on the field and I go, I don't know, man, he might not be it. It was always, damn, he gets better every game.
Yep.
It's wild.
And that's what we talk about when you draft and develop. You can't develop by not playing.
Exactly.
You gotta get reps. You gotta get out there. And the best players get better with the more snaps and the more reps that they play.
Yeah. Blake B says number 36 was my flag football number in 2010 as a tribute to Nick, LOL. Beer league flag football in college was a vibe.
Oh, man.
How many people out there tearing ACLs and breaking ankles, Tim? You know it was happening, man.
Man, I remember playing back in the day, tag football, right? Touch football. We didn't even have the flags. And then it would quickly devolve into full-on tackle football on a concrete school playground pavement, you know.
Right. All it takes is one knucklehead to body check, and it's okay.
Yeah.
That's all I needed to know. That's like basketball. Anytime I play basketball, it was like, you try to play within the rules, and then someone gets physical, and it's go, okay, I just need to know what the rules are. We're
Yep.
playing physical. We
Now
can do
we've got that established. Let's go.
this is my game. I'm not a very good basketball player, so if it becomes physical, it starts to lean into my territory. Okay, I can gain a little bit of an edge here. I can trip people with the best of them and make it look like an accident. You know what I'm saying? Let's roll. So, yeah, but Nick Collins was the man, no doubt about it, Blake. Let's do this, man. Let's jump into Blake. We saw a few dudes get concussed, no Guardian caps 15 years ago. We had a field. I could show you guys on Google Earth right now, man. It's still there. Below my mom and dad's house, we had this. It's called the Rotary Park, and it was set right next to a cliff line. There's mountains everywhere, obviously, where I grew up. And we turned it into a baseball field in the summer and a football field in the fall. And one of the end zones was literally gravel. It was just an old gravel pile that we had spread out because they just had it dumped there. Yeah, it was like if you're gonna get skinned up from gravel, at least you're scoring a touchdown in the end. You know, you're hitting the end zone, you're hitting pay dirt to get cut up. So it was kind of a badge of honor. We used to do a Lambeau leap on that fence too, and boy, we used to break that fence. Slowly got broke down, and then finally the city made a complaint against us and everything, saying we were tearing the fence down. But it's like, bro, you got to do the leap. You know what I mean? This was back in 96, probably 95, somewhere around there. So anyway, let's jump into some stuff on Twitter here. I compiled a list from the Shrine Bowl tonight of our top prospects according to our board. All right. I just took a little time, sorted everything out, combed through the names. Here is the PTA top 100 that are attending the East-West Shrine Bowl tonight. I don't know if they're all playing, but they're definitely there. I believe they're all playing. You guys correct me if I'm wrong. If there's anybody on this list, chat, let me know if they're not playing tonight. So the top-ranked prospect, according to our board, that's going to be in the East-West Shrine Bowl tonight is quarterback Shedeur Sanders. He is in the number 10 spot on our board. Okay, so we have him in the 10 spot, quarterback out of Colorado, obviously. Number 15 on our board is Kenneth Grant, who will be playing tonight. He played for Michigan. Obviously, he's the second best defensive lineman in the draft. Some would say only behind his teammate. His name is escaping me right now. Who is the other guy, Tim? Graham, is that right?
From where?
Michigan, the top defensive lineman in the draft.
We had Mason Graham.
Mason Graham, there you go. So Kenneth Grant is one that's got a chance to really improve his stock here at the East-West Shrine Bowl as well. Number 20 on our board is Siobhan Revel Jr. Some are saying Shaven Revel Jr. I'm not sure what it is.
I'm going to go with Siobhan.
Yeah, kind of looks like Siobhan to me, but Revel Jr., cornerback. I think he's out of East Carolina, if I remember correctly. I was going to put the colleges, but Twitter only lets you have so many characters there, obviously. So he's in the number 20 spot, cornerback that might be on the radar for the Packers. Number 30 on our list is Trey Harris, wide receiver. I think he's from Ole Miss. Yeah, another one of Lane Kiffin's boys. So there's only 4 players in the top 50 according to our board. Jay Cole in the chat says, I need to check, but I don't think Shedeur is playing. All right, appreciate that. I checked earlier, and as of January 28th, they had him on the roster, but that really doesn't mean he's playing. So, yeah, you guys check on that for me for sure. So outside of the top 50, Tim, it drops down. Well, first of all, in those top 50, anybody grab your attention there? Any comments you got on those guys? We got 4 guys in the top 50. Shedeur Sanders, quarterback. Kenneth Grant, defensive line. Siobhan Revel Jr., cornerback. And wide receiver Trey Harris is going to be playing in the East-West Shrine Bowl tonight.
Trey Harris. He might be my second favorite receiver between Jaden Higgins and I really like I like Jalen Royals out of Utah State as well. But you know, taking a look at this list, Trey Harris jumps off the list to me. He's someone I'm looking forward to seeing. And then obviously, hopefully, we get a look at Kenneth Grant, a D lineman that obviously we won't end up drafting because he'll probably be off the board. But no, those 2 names for sure.
Got it. I was trying to look up here real quick. Trey Harris, according to the consensus or the PFF big board, they have him in the 89 spot. We have him in the 30 spot. So I don't know why they've got him so low on their big board. 6'3", 210, got the age, right? He's going to be turning 23. He's got the height, the size. Maybe the age is hurting a little bit, Tim, that he's going to be turning 23. I don't know. But PFF grades 77, 88, then 89. I mean, I don't know what else the dude could have done to to kind of solidify himself as a top prospect. Like I said, that's why we've got him closer to 30 or in the 30 spot as opposed to closer to 89 where PFF has him. So
he's kind of heating up at the right time too. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, looking back, you know, he finally cracked 1,000 yards in 2024, you know. So hopefully he's hitting his stride just in time for the draft. He'll be fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, next you got Zy Alexander in the 64 spot. I got them mixed up there. So Elijah Roberts actually should have been ahead of Zy Alexander. Elijah Roberts is one that climbed on my board this morning when I was combing through. I double checked it, Tim. I believe the grades are correct. This dude scored in the 90s the last 2 years in PFF. And I'm sitting there going, why are more people not talking about him? Now, some people have him listed as an edge. Other people have him listed as interior defensive lineman. He's a pretty big body guy. Elijah Roberts on the PFF big board, and then we'll bounce back to the other here. Where are you at, sir? Lord have mercy. I think PFF's the one that's got him listed as an edge. Maybe there was one that had him listed as an edge, and I'm like, oh no, he's not even on the PFF big board.
I was just going to say I can't find him.
That's what it was. So not sure why he's not on there, but man, just from the grades themselves and then the consensus big board, they had Elijah Roberts. Where do they have him at? Because he's a little bit lower, I believe, if I remember correctly. They have him in the 155 spot, and here we've got him, like I said, at 62. And he jumped up significantly from like the 90s to 62 when I found that other grade. So obviously that's a dude to watch for. Again, a big body guy. If I remember correctly, when I found him on PFF through the grades, he was like in the 290s. I think he played 3 tech pretty much the entire time. He played on the D line, I should say. So look for Elijah Roberts and like we said, Zy Alexander as well there.
Yep, definitely.
All right, let's see where Zy Alexander is on the PFF big board. They have him in the 71 spot, and we have him at 64, so fairly close there, right? Again, 79 PFF, 63 PFF, then back up to an 81. He really rebounded. 6'2", 194, got good size there if that height and weight is correct. So I'll see here in the chat. J. Cole said, according to Fox Sports, it doesn't look like Sanders is playing. Okay, so Shedeur is not going to be playing. He's just been there meeting up all week long, which I think is probably a good move, to be honest with you, Tim. I don't think he can improve his stock anymore.
Yeah, it kind of surprised me to even see him on the list, really.
Right. Yeah, almost like he should have just kind of – and you got to respect him for that, right? But I bet Dion was there for some of the other Colorado guys, so he said, Shedeur, come with me. Let's go. Yeah. Let's go meet some front office execs. So it's a good opportunity for him to meet with people and kind of mingle a little bit and them see what he's all about, right? On his best behavior, of course. But J. Cole said he met with the team but didn't practice. There you go. Makes a lot of sense. So, cool. All right. Two-Tone says Elijah fixed 2 problems. Hey, saying, man, if he falls, if you look up, now, again, I know there's many boards that don't have him as high as we do, but let's say you look up and he's there at 80, right? How, whatever our pick is. I don't even know. Let me put it up on the banner here, trying to think where we pick. Yeah. Let's say he's there at pick 87. Elijah Roberts is sitting there. I'd have no problem with that at all, man. No problem. Next is Chris Paul Jr., linebacker. He is trying to think of where Chris Paul Jr. played linebacker at. I'll pull up his card real quick. Chris Paul Jr. played at Ole Miss. Surprise, surprise. He's 22 years old. 22.2 years old, 6'1", 235. Not quite as tall as you would want him to be, but PFF grade 76, dropped to a 59, then jumped to an 87. Chris Paul kind of feels very similar to him, not from a athletic standpoint or anything like that, but just from a PFF grade standpoint, it kind of feels like Edgerrin Cooper, how Edgerrin Cooper's grade this last year in college was just off the charts, but the year before was down a little bit, and that's why he put him down on our board just a touch. But Chris Paul Jr. here, man, we got him in the 67 spot, another name to watch for.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's missed a total of 16 tackles in, 3 seasons. Looks like a really good stack backer type of dude, right? I'm just looking at some of his numbers right here. Pretty good against the run too, which is good. We've got coverage backers, but we need guys that can, fill in for the run fits, because McDuffie's probably going to be out of the picture, right? And then we've got Eric Wilson, which is another one of our better, run defenders when it comes to linebackers. So I think looking, to a guy like Chris Paul Jr. as a potential potential pick makes a lot of sense. My only question is, I don't know if he's going to be on the board. He's a guy that I think might kind of jump up a little bit once we hit draft day.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure his 2023 grade really pulled him down on ours. If we go find him on the big board has Chris Paul Jr. in the 107 spot. So he, we've got him higher than the big board does, right? Here at 67. So
what do they have for a coverage grade?
I was going to hit that. Prince says Paul Jr.'s coverage grade is intriguing. His coverage grade this year, Tim, was a 78.1.
Wow. So he can play the run and the pass. Here's the guy.
Almost maxed out. And then his run defense grade was an 84.6. And his pass rush grade was an 83.
We gotta find it here.
Here's the guy.
There it is.
Missed tackle rate of 4.5%, right at the top of the entire college football, like you were saying. So
4 missed tackles in 2024.
His average depth of run tackle too, man. Again, it's weird how they do this on the graphic because to me it feels like it should have been higher. It's lit up in the orange like it's bad, but it's 2.6. So if his average depth of tackle is 2.6, his run stops were through the freaking roof. So if that's going by yardage there and they're not using some kind of wonky scale, as Coach LaFleur would say. But yeah, and here's the thing too. Like some people were going, man, you've got Quay, you got Edgerrin Cooper, you got Tyron Hopper. She'll be spending this much time on linebackers. If you'll look here in a minute, Goody has been meeting, his staff has been meeting with a bunch of linebackers. Tim, we talked about it being a need, right? I think we got 2 holes to fill on this roster for linebacker. Yep. And we talked about 3-tech, we talked about linebacker, we talked about cornerback, obviously, and that's who they've been meeting with. It's really cool, man. Some people were all over wide receiver. I don't think I've seen Goody meet with one wide receiver. I'm sure he has, but I just can't think of one right off the bat that, hey, he's meeting with this receiver that's not named Jaden Higgins, of course, because he did meet with him. So I know you're excited about that. So, but yeah, Paul Jr. definitely got a good coverage grade there as well. So to me, it kind of feels like D tackle and linebacker, they're truly taking a deep look into this year's draft on. So we'll see. Next, you got Jay Higgins, linebacker as well. He's in the 89 spot. You see there's quite the drop-off there, Tim, from 67 to 89 to Jaden Higgins. I'm sorry, Jay Higgins. Jay Higgins is one of those dudes that's I feel like he's kind of underrated. PFF's got him at 173 on their big board. He's 6'2", 232. How the hell he could grade out an 89.4 and 87.1, and then the website that's grading him put him at 173. I have no idea, man.
It's crazy.
And then
I'm looking at his numbers now too. I mean, definitely more missed tackles than our boy Chris Paul Jr.
Yep. Yeah, and again, I think Chris Paul Jr. should be higher than Jay Higgins, like he is on our board. There's no doubt, but I just don't understand. Like Jay Higgins on the mock draft database, they have him at 117 on the big board, right?
Wow.
We've got him at 89. Fairly close to the 117 mark, and then PFF has him down
173. Holy cow!
It's weird, right? It's strange. Yeah. So, if it wasn't for the PFF big board, he'd be much higher on our board. But it's pulling him down a little bit. Next, you got. I hope I'm saying this name right. Oronde Gadsden, tight end. All right, people are going, whoa, I've never heard of that name. Right. I was looking through earlier, and he kind of caught my attention here a little bit. And again, he's going to be at the East-West Shrine Bowl. They have him on the big board, Oronde Gadsden, at 146. We have him at 92. He's out of Syracuse. The reason we have him at 92 is, if I remember correctly, let me go to my board here. I know I got it here somewhere. Oronde Gadsden at 92. I was down here in the 400s earlier looking around. That's how I'm
nice. Sound like me, man.
Yeah, combing through the
I love that. You got to find some of those diamonds in the rough, man.
Exactly. So at 92, Oronde Gadsden, PFF grading 22 was 43. He was 43rd. Okay, I'm sorry. He's 43rd amongst tight ends. Didn't have a grade showing. We got to go run that down for 23. But in 24, this last year, the 9th highest graded tight end in all of college football. The PFF big board had him at 126. The consensus big board had him at 151. That's where he was sitting at. So I'm excited about him, man, at 92. I think the Packers, man, I think the Packers might be in the market for a tight end, Tim. I really do.
I would agree. I just don't see us using a first, second, or third round pick on one.
Okay.
You know, I mean, that's just me. I'm thinking if we draft one, it's going to be fourth round or later, probably.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, how is Goody looking at that? Like, let's think here for a second. It's obvious they thought they needed 2 tight ends, right? So they can press into 12 a little bit. So they went out and they drafted Luke Musgrave and they drafted Tucker Kraft. Well, Musgrave's been hurt, right?
Yep.
And then when he has been on the field, I think we would all agree he's kind of underperformed compared to Tucker Kraft.
Definitely.
So if that's the case, who is that second tight end that they could go, man, it's hard to keep him off the field. Let's really press him to 12. I think it's got to be Musgrave, right? If they bring Sims back or they bring Fitzpatrick back, okay, but I keep thinking of the Philly game where they deactivated Sims, but they activated Fitzpatrick. So it's like, if that's the case and that second tight end is that important to them, there's precedent to get one in the second and third round if you think they can truly contribute. So if it's somebody like a Rondé Gadsden, he's got to be the best player available on the board, hands down, for them to take him in the third round, right?
Yeah.
My guess is, Goody always talks about within those first 3 rounds, you should be off. He said typically all 3 of those first 3 round picks are in his top 50. So if let's say that Gadsden at tight end is sitting at the 92 spot on his board as well, I doubt he is, but let's say he is, then probably not a guy you're going to take in the first 3 rounds like you're saying. So
yeah.
So we'll
maybe they're holding on to hope that Tyler Davis will be able to play football.
Right.
I'm just kidding.
Could be.
I think they're going to move on from TD.
Yeah, he's a guy that, like, he showed promise on special teams. He showed, like I said, they loved him in that split flow, what they call slice in Green Bay, which is basically a split zone run where he sifts across and the line's blocking one way, he sifts the other to sell off the backside. What it allows you to do is throw the backers off with the sift. They key in on the sift and think the run's going this way. Then the line's blocking in the opposite direction. And you can also steal a gap by leaving the defensive end on the backside untouched. So you're gaining a hat with your offensive line and you're protecting the running back with the sift. It's kind of multifaceted how it throws the defense off. He was good at that. But with the injuries, like you said, Tim, I don't see it happen. So,
can't make the club in the tub, right?
Exactly. Johnny B said, can you do an in-depth look at Nick Martin, linebacker? I saw him described as a meat missile. Was that scouting report done by a guy named Rusty Hertz? I'm just
probably
Rusty Hertz from the Old Folks Home Draft Club.com.gov. There you go. Let's see if we can find Nick Martin on our board.
I got him on PFF. He's at 231, Oklahoma State. Yeah, I mean 6 feet on the nose, 220 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Rated out at a 66.5 last year. I don't know if you've got numbers from before.
Yeah, let me see if I can pull him up here real quick. I'm going to do a quick search here. You said it's Nick Martin, is that right?
Nicholas Martin, Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State. So we've got him way lower on our board, Johnny B. We've got him out of Oklahoma State. We get the cheese logo next to him. Obviously, the Packers are interested in him. We don't have a grade for 22 PFF. In 23, he was the 423rd graded linebacker. So not that good, right?
In 24, he's the 427th.
Yeah. In 2024, I'm showing 428 on mine, 427. You're splitting hairs. So, yeah, right there. The PFF big board has him at 218. The consensus big board has him at 263. In my opinion, and I don't see anything changing here unless he just – even if he torches the combine, he's not going to climb up many spots on our board. I think he's potentially an undrafted free agent is the way I would see it, Johnny B. Now, he's at the Senior Bowl, right? So who knows? He may flash at the Senior Bowl. It's not going to help on our board too much. We will give a bonus for top performers in those weeks, but I think for me personally, there's other linebackers I like a lot more. I think they're probably getting a look at him for a potential undrafted free agent. But we'll see, man. Crazier things will happen. something, right? So
Yeah,
appreciate
he could have a really good showing and then, creep up and be a, 7th round pick or something. You never know.
Could be. That's right. All right, let's go back to Twitter here because we did get some news that broke. I think it was actually this morning, actually a little later last night after we went off the air. We had Easton Butler putting some tweets out of some other guys that the Packers have met with. So if we want to pull up the information on these guys as I read them off, Tim, you can kind of give me what PFF has, and then I'll try to find them on our big board if I can as well.
Okay.
If I can slide that over. So we've got the Packers met with Ole Miss edge defender Princely Umanamelon, I think is how you say his name. Let's sound it out here. Umanamelin.
You might want to try that again.
You might not want to try to pronounce that ever again.
Who?
He's the only guy in the draft named Princely, so we're going to call him that. And watch, I'm probably misspelling or mispronouncing that too.
Ole Miss, maybe another one. 91 grade on PFF.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Talk to me, Tim. What else you got there on him? Anything?
PFF's got him in the 39th. They're saying he's the 7th overall edge.
Got it.
According
I'll
to
tell
PFF.
you this. We should probably learn his name. And the reason being, Bub, we've got him in the 19 spot, Tim. We got him at 19 on our board. So
nice.
That's a dude. Here's a guy. If he falls to 23, don't be surprised if Packers take him at edge, right?
Hey, looks like a guy that can help with the pass rush for sure.
Yep. All right. So there you go. Princely. You killed it, Clay. Yeah, I killed it. All right. I ain't Princely. We're going with Princely. Okay. I don't know how I killed that when I said it 6 times, 6 different ways and went, yeah. But Packers met with Minnesota linebacker Cody Lindenberg. All right, so here's another line. It's what we're talking about, man. They're definitely putting their eyes on linebackers here.
6'3", 240. Woo!
That's probably why, right, Tim? His RAS is going to be fairly high.
143 on PFF's board, 250th overall linebacker, graded out at a 72.2 in 2024.
Got it. I've got him in the 288 spot right now is where he's sitting. So another one, potentially a 7th rounder or a, like I said, an undrafted free agent maybe. So we'll see though. Again, though, where's you didn't look at the consensus big board, right?
No, I just got PFF's board up.
Let me see where the consensus big board has him. I should have that information on my board. Cody Lindenberg, 258 is where they had him at the time that we took the information down. So yeah. I think it's and again, we got picked 250, so it's probably going to be 7th round or an undrafted free agent, I would imagine. We got 2 7th round picks, right? If I remember correctly. So,
yep.
All right, there you go. And then another one that came down the pike here. All these are from Easton Butler and Eli Berkovitz. Okay, Easton Butler is sharing information from Eli Berkovitz. Go give them both a follow at Easton__Butler. And at Book of Eli _NFL.
2 great follows for sure. I think Eli was one of the first or second people I ever followed when I got on Twitter, and and then Easton Butler too, obviously plugged in and on top of things with the meetings and stuff.
And the reason listen, I'm going to say it. I'm just going to say the quiet part out loud. The reason I think they're a great follow, it's just football.
Yep.
They're not in their grandstanding. They're not on their high horse. They're not trying to make political statements. They just talk ball. And that's what I'm on X for, man. I'm just going to be honest with you. I ain't on there to argue with people. We're going to just ignore the fact that 90% of everything that we think is important in life we agree on, and we're going to argue about the 10% we disagree on. It's just
exactly.
But anyway, they're great follows. He says Virginia Tech defensive tackle Ioannis, I hope I'm saying that right, Peebles at the Senior Bowl. The Packers met with him. Defensive tackle Peebles. Tim,
oh, yeah, 6'1", 290.
Oh, he's thick.
He's going to be 24, though, so that, Goody DiCaprio factor. Just keep that in mind. But graded out at 89.3. PFF has him, 180, and they have him as the 7th D lineman out of 895.
Yeah, got it. We've got him, get ready for this, in the 97 spot. So he's a top 100 prospect for us right now. You talk about improving, man. Mm-hmm. 2022, he went from the 461st graded defensive lineman all the way to number 13 and 23, and then went from number 13 all the way to number 7 and 24. Like you said, when we took the information down, the PFF big board had him at 170. Consensus big board had him at 146. So, yeah, Peebles is cracked into the top 100 for us. That's a guy, again, the Senior Bowl Saturday, Tim, there's going to be a ton of guys we're watching.
Oh, yeah. It's gonna be this guy's going to be fun to watch. I mean, 385 snaps, B gap, played a little A gap, played over the tackle, played outside the tackle, a couple of off-ball snaps. So, maybe we can find a home for him on that defensive front, man.
You notice right here, man, my man going to be going to Culver's on a regular basis. That's my kind of deal right there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, well, all right. Donovan Schilling. I disagree with your percentages, Clay. You're probably right. But anyway, we'll keep it on topic. Joseph says, this is why I come to PTA talking round 7, undrafted free agent ranked guys on January 30th. Love it. Hey, Joseph, appreciate you, man. It's better than anything else on TV right now because you can laugh at us for having a sucky show, You don't get this kind of comedy on Comedy Central, and we're not even trying to be funny. We just suck at what we do. So here we are. Thanks for tuning in, Joseph, as always, man. Tim, that's all the prospect news we had in terms of other guys that the Packers met with. I'm sure there's more coming down the pike later. I'm going to comb through and try to grab those before we go live tonight. And, again, tonight's going to be a lot of fun, man. It really is. We're going to have the East-West Shrine Bowl on the TV here, so we'll be kind of keeping up with updates. We'll also have a live I've got a draft news list going on Twitter. So I'll try to pop that up and refresh it in real time. So if anybody has anything, as long as it's not copyright material, we'll share their Twitter handles and what they're tweeting about the game. And then as that comes in, we'll cross-check it with our PTA board. We'll look at the consensus big board, the PFF board. It's going to be a lot of fun, man. So
yeah, man, looking forward to it. Be a good practice run before we get to Senior Bowl on Saturday.
Yeah, definitely. All right. You got anything else, Bub, before we wrap up here, man?
No, not unless you want me to ramble on about Jaden Higgins some more, about it.
Yeah. I would get your take on our mock draft last night. We did. Actually, we did. Did I even get a screen grab? I think I got a screen grab, or did I not? I might not.
I did get I caught a peek of it. I think you posted it on Twitter, right?
Yeah, but I don't think. Yeah, I don't have a screen grab of our mock last night where we kind of stayed.
You traded back. I remember though.
Yeah. This was the one I did yesterday. I want to get your take on it. Can you see that okay, Tim? Can you see
I sure can.
All right. So I did a trade back mock draft yesterday, and I got the guys' take on it. I want to get your take on it. So I traded the 26th pick, all right, and the 90th pick along with the 202nd. I'm sorry, no. I traded the 23rd pick and got the 26th pick, the 90th pick, and the 202nd pick. So we traded back literally 3 spots and picked up a 3rd rounder and a 6th rounder, man. This is what I'm talking about, potentially trading back and just grabbing some extra picks if you've got guys that are still in that top tier, right? So then when I got to 26, I looked up and said, man, I got 4 or 5 guys I really like. So I'm going to trade back again. So I went from 26 to 32 with Kansas City. So I got I gave them the 26th pick and the 90th pick. And they gave me the 32nd pick, the 64th pick, and 132. So we climbed up from the 3rd round to the 2nd, all right, in that scenario. So we actually picked at pick 32, and I didn't do any more trading the rest of the draft, and I did that intentionally. There was multiple times I thought, makes sense to trade back here. Not going to do it, though. So I limited myself to 2 trades, and I used them both up there in the 1st round. So with the 32nd pick, Tim, we got Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss, 3-tech. How do you feel about that?
Thumbs up. Nicely done.
Tim approves. Then in the 2nd round with pick 55, we got Ariante Ursary out of Minnesota, tackle. And he is really high on our board. Let me tell you where we've got him. We've got Ursary in the 33 spot. So we got the 33rd best prospect at 55 there. Love that value. Would you be okay with that pick there?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, trenches early. D-line, O-line, nailed it.
Yeah. And then this is what I was talking about, all of the exercises that I've done doing the draft here in the mock draft simulator. It got me thinking like, man, if I'm going to get a corner, I need to do it here probably in the 2nd round. So I pulled the trigger on Zy Alexander. So Zy Alexander, I got him with the 64th pick, and he's 65th on our board. So right where he should be taken in that current tier there. It kind of feels like to me in the second round, Tim, is that sweet spot where if we're going to take a corner, and if Jai isn't going to be here, in this scenario, Jai's still on the roster. The one we did with Jake and them and the guys last night, we actually traded Jai Alexander and picked up a little bit of draft capital. But what do you think about Jai Alexander there at pick 64?
He's in the top 50 at corners according to PFF. And, I haven't watched much tape on him. I got to see a little bit, but I think it's a great pick right there. And like you said, you're loading up here. And if you're gonna go corner, I agree. You want to hit that. I don't think they're going to use a second round pick unless, Goody trades like you did and loads up.
Right.
But it's going to have to be earlier than I think, guys like you and I would be expecting, right? Because I'm kind of with you in the whole corner, in the tier of importance realm. Corner's not that top tier of importance on the defensive side, but we're in a unique situation now in Green Bay with the Josh situation. We don't know. And I think Jai Alexander out of LSU is certainly a good pick there for sure.
All right. So in the third round with pick 87, I took Charles Grant out of William & Mary, another tackle, another offensive lineman. He is 56 on our big board. We got him at 87. I was really happy with that. That was great value. Almost a full round of value, according to our board. Then next we had Pat Bryant out of Illinois. I know Jake would like that one. That's the only reason I took him. I'm just kidding. It's not true. So obviously wide receiver out of Illinois. I got him in the fourth round at 123. He is 114 on the big board. So again, almost a full round of value there where we took, or no, right around that spot. Never mind, 114. So just about 9 spots higher than he probably was sitting on the board. So we got Pat Bryant, wide receiver. How do you feel about Pat Bryant? You got an opinion on him at all? I can pull up his.
I like him. He's 6'3", 6'3", 200 pounds, graded out in like the 80s, I think, on PFF or something like that.
84.4. Yep.
Yeah, on my, I don't really have a board per se. I'm just kind of making my hot list by position groups, but he is number 9 in my top 10. So he is on my radar. But yeah, I'm all for the big body receivers, man. So I think you crushed it right there for sure. No more little receivers. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I feel like we've got enough, right?
Yep.
Sure. With that being said, he'll take 2 slot receivers in this draft. That's what we'll have. Next, we got Jay Higgins out of Iowa. We got him.
Here's the guy we just talked about.
Yeah, got him at pick 132. And on my board, Higgins is, of course, there's multiple Higgins. Let me go in here and type in just Jay Higgins.
Careful, you might run into Jaden Higgins again.
I just did. Matter of fact, he popped up. He's everywhere. Yeah, I have him in the 90s spot, and we got Jay Higgins at 132. I was real happy with that.
Yeah, that's a really good pick right there.
All right, and then next we got Monheim, right? Jonah Monheim, center is what he's listed at, but I think he's more of an interior offensive line than just center. Out of USC, 5th round, pick 160. Tim, he's 81 on my big board. That's a guy that late in the draft, I'm telling you, if the draft board falls the way these consensus big boards suggest it will, we're going to be looking up with, there's going to be 2 or 3 prospects on our big board when we're sitting up there in Green Bay doing our draft party that we're going to be going, oh my God, this makes all the sense in the world. That's one, in my opinion, that really did. PFF grading 22, 14th, 45th, 46. So we regressed all 3 years, but still solid numbers. The big board had him at 114. The PFF board had him at 139. And again, we were able to get him at 160 here.
I like that. And he's actually a true center, I think. I mean, I know what you mean about interior. He played a little tackle in 2023, I see. And some guard as well. But, 800 plus snaps here in 2024 as a center. That may be a guy that they actually, if we do pull the trigger on, he may come in and actually be a center who plays center rather than a converted, guard or something like we're used to. So I think that's a great pick in the 5th round for sure.
Yeah. And then Jalen Walker, linebacker out of Indiana, we took with the 199th pick. Jalen Walker is 138 on my board. So we got him almost two full rounds of value on Jalen Walker, according to our board. Really, really like that one. Next in round 6, 202, we took Kobe Bryant out of Kansas, cornerback. And this is a guy that some people love, some people are kind of critical of. I've got him in the 179 spot. We got him at 202. Still great value there, almost a full round of value. And I think it's Brambo in here says Ryan Schlip loves him, some Kobe Bryant. So that's nice to know, man, that he's kind of approving of that one too. What do you think about Kobe Bryant and Jalen Walker here, Tim?
Jalen Walker is interesting because there's a Jalen and Jaylon Walkers, right? You got the Walker out of Georgia as well. Yep. I don't have a lot on Jalen Walker out of Indiana, but I'm making a note of it. Do a little tape study here, and then Kobe I think is a great value there in the 6th round. This is why there's an argument for trading down like this, because you can just load up. And if you hit, you increase your hit rate. If you're loading up on talent, you get a better chance at hitting on one or two or three of these guys even. So yeah, I like the Kobe pick there at 202 for sure.
Yeah, and Jalen Walker, just to backtrack here a little bit, he came over with that coach. I can't think of his name. I'm going to butcher it. They came over from, I think it was James Madison to Indiana. He came over with him. In 2022, he was the 6th highest graded linebacker. In 23, he fell to 66. In 24, he crept back up to 53. And again, we've got him in the 138 spot. I really like him there late in the draft, man. If he's hovering around the 6th round, I'll be all about it. Kobe Bryant, same thing. And then Marcus Weir is that prospect this year that we go, man, it's a small school, but boy, he seemed to play good though, right?
I love that pick, Clayton. I love this pick right here. Montana State Bobcats, baby. We've done a lot of studying on Marcus Weir, and I think, man, that's one of the top late round kind of values that you're gonna find in this draft for sure. If he doesn't in fact get picked in even the 5th or 6th round or something, I think this is definitely a good look. 87.8 grade on PFF last year. Predominantly a true right guard, and again, if we're talking about moving guys around, if you're going to move a guard to center, if that's in your plans, it's good to have a true guard to put right back in that place. So I like Marcus Weir. I like this pick.
Yeah, and it was Coach Signetti. I almost said it, but I was afraid I was going to butcher it, so I should have just let it rip. It was Coach Signetti that came over from James Madison. So, Marcus Weir is 180 on our big board. We got him at 251. And here's what's cool, guys. He's going to be playing tonight, if I understood correctly. He's there at the East-West Shrine Bowl. That's what we got in our notes. Let me double check it real quick and what position he may be playing. Marcus Weir. Boy, I'm telling you, the consensus big board is struggling today. There must be a lot of people on that website. Yeah, he's
listed as interior O-line.
Yeah, and he's in the 310 spot on the consensus big board, Tim. 310. Wow. And again, you've been able to get him at 251. I'd be over the moon because it's less talent, obviously, but he has dominated people. In 2023, he was the top graded. I think it was offensive tackle, I believe is the position he played. I could be wrong. And then in 2024, he was the 4th highest graded at his position.
Yeah, he played a lot of right tackle in 23. You're right.
Yeah, there you go. So he's got a little bit of versatility. Where did he play this year, Tim? Does it show?
This year, right guard in 2024, 935 snaps at right guard.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, that's a dude that might be your backup guard, right? One of your backup guards. If you depending on what you do with center here, right?
Yeah, yeah, or even just depth behind, Sean Ryan.
Yeah, definitely. That's it. Just wanted to get your take on that, man. Anything else you want to add to this little mock draft that I did here, man?
No, I love it. I think it's like I said, I do think there's a realistic possibility we could see something like this happen on draft day. That Goody could, in fact, piss everyone off and trade out of that 1st round. And I don't know. Looking at this draft, I think I'm on your side with this one, Clay. There's a good argument to trade back in this draft when you look at our positions and needs, and you look at the talent that's in the draft so far. I mean, we'll have more info, obviously, once we start seeing, these bowl games. And then, we'll have pro days coming up. We'll have combine and all these things. Things may change. The boards may adjust. But looking at if you told me this was what the draft shaped up to be for the Packers this year, I would be very happy with the positional needs that we addressed here.
I would too. Now the question is, will Walter Nolan be there at 32? That's the big question.
Right.
Because usually that first pick in every mock draft steers the rest of the draft, right? If we don't get Walter Nolan there and we get someone that we feel like, it's not a big name, but we just had to take the best available, we might be looking at it different, right? Every one of these, though, none of them were a reach according to my board, right? And I'm not saying it's right. I'm just simply saying, like, this board, the PTA board we're putting together, we try to think in a little bit different direction than other big boards. And every one of these were great value according to that board. It doesn't mean they're going to be great value and turn out to be great players, right? Now, in terms of Walter Nolan, I want to hit this and then we'll get out of here. Kyle Krabs over at the 33rd team did his mock draft, Tim, and he had Walter Nolan going 31st to the Eagles. So in this scenario, he would be available for us. So it's not unrealistic to think that the Packers could take him at 23, and the Packers did meet with Walter Nolan already as well. So he's on the radar.
Where did Jeremiah have him at?
Daniel Jeremiah had him go 17 to the Bengals. So we're right in between those two numbers.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to suck if he goes 1 or 2 picks before we draft. And that's a scenario where you look up, and if he's the only player left in the top tier of talent when we pick, according to Goody's board, you might see a trade up.
I was just going to say, if they're locked on to him, he may move up as well.
And we're sitting here talking about trading back, and how the fans would hate it if for some reason we traded out of the first round because it's in Green Bay. Could you imagine the pop if we're sitting there, say, and it's around the 19th pick, and it says there's been a trade. We're all standing right there at Lambeau Field parking lot, and the Packers are on the clock. That place is going to go banana. Seriously. Those are the moments I'm here for. And that's going to happen. We're going to trade up at some point in the draft. I believe that's going to happen. But will it be in the first round? I don't know, man. Goody's comments would suggest that's what he's thinking in terms of, hey, we gotta show a little bit more urgency and the window's open. Let's go win this thing now. So could be.
Absolutely.
Get this roster beefed on up here and get a couple weapons for Matt LaFleur so you can break the belt back out. You know what I'm talking about, Tim?
Yes, sir.
Belt to ass. We need more of that this year. So anything else you got, man?
I think no, there's really truth to the statement, man, that if Goody's got a high grade on somebody or he's, locked in or falls in love with someone, I think he does move up. I think there's a strong possibility that he moves up. It'll be real interesting to see how he packages the picks in that deal, though, to move up versus like what you just showed us by moving down and loading up. So if we have to move up in that first round, man, you got to know he's got, a super high grade on someone to trade up to go get him like that, I think. So We'll see.
Definitely. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. If you would, hit that like button on the way out. We'll be back tonight, PTA Live at 7 p.m. Central Time. We're going to be going live right at the same time as the East-West Shrine Bowl. It's going to be somewhat of a watch party. We'll be talking about what's going on in that game. We'll be bringing you some other information as the Packers, I'm sure, will meet with other prospects at some point today, whether it be at the Senior Bowl or wherever. So we'll get you all that information as we're watching the East-West Shrine Bowl together tonight. So really, really appreciate your all's time. Thank y'all for making us a part of your day. Tim, thank you, buddy. It's good to have you back. We'll see you tonight, man.
Yes, sir. Go Pack, go.
And we go. We out.
Bye, guys.